Okay. Hi, Chris. Hey, what's going on, Chris? Chris, do you read me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. Mono, not stereo. That's okay.
As long as you're hearing it, we'll be fine.
Remember how to wipe down?
Oh, quit picking on little things.
We're going to shoot this, right? Continue to practice.
Why? I don't know about that. Wait a minute. How the hell you get the list? Did that to
Hi, I'm Ronnie Osfield, and I'm Director of Outreach here at City Theater Company. I'd like to thank you. We'll talk to you afterwards about the show, so I'm not going to tell you anything about it now. I just want to say the show lasts about 45 minutes, and afterwards there'll be a 15-minute discussion with the cast, so I invite you to stay. And then there'll be a reception downstairs, so we'd love you to stay for everything. I'd like to thank Duquesne Light for funding this whole project and making it possible. Enjoy the show.
You should film it.
You want me to?
I would think so.
Will the circle be homeless anymore. I don't want to be homeless anymore.
I am scared. I am tired.
I'm angry.
It is difficult.
To think.
My anger grows.
Swept away.
Like a sapling.
Pandemonium.
Fueled by the world.
So many
things
To do. Not enough. Time.
I am waiting
On the edge.
of an unknown.
experience.
I am scared. I am tired.
I'm angry.
It is difficult.
To think.
My anger grows.
Swept away.
Like a sapling.
Pandemonium.
Fueled by the world.
So many
Things
To do. Not enough. Time.
I am waiting
On the edge.
of an unknown.
experience.
I'm scared. I am tired.
I'm
It
angry.
is difficult.
Think.
My anger grows.
Swept away.
Like a sapling.
Pandemonium.
Fueled by the world.
So many
Things
To do. Not enough. Time.
I am waiting
On the edge.
of an unknown.
experience.
floating down the river of the streets. The melting snow into my feet. I went to the movies and sat 3 long hours with socks wet as rags that just washed the car. I had to pee, but I couldn't leave.
I am tired. Not just a physical tired, but an emotional tired. Like a lot of live weight on my shoulders. The weight of feelings, the weight of fears, the weight of pain, the weight of thinking too hard, worrying too much, the weight of worry, the weight of wanting love.
I was one of those ladies, walking around the streets all day, sitting in McDonald's. Now it informs everything I do. They're getting up now. They're having their breakfast now. They're walking out the door now.
Every day is a journey. Every decision a step. Sometimes I feel like I'm traveling through the desert. Sometimes I feel like I'm traveling through a storm. I sing. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I scream in anguish and agony with my eyes closed. Sometimes it's a song of hope. I whisper like a prayer. I breathe a sigh, but sometimes I can't take another step and let someone else carry me along.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
People don't listen. Those who cannot hear the cries of the poor, they will cry and not be heard.
I'm a circle, bounded by a square. Inside the circle, a man.
I represent the homeless. I'm a liaison between the image and the real story. You see, I know most of the homeless people here in Pittsburgh as they volunteer for Operation Save a Life. I've sat down with the homeless. I've talked with the homeless. I've given them blankets in the cold of winter, a toothbrush, a cup of coffee. What I've given them the most is the three elements of life: dignity, respect, and friendship. You know, it takes a long time to earn their respect out there and their trust. There's a lot of internal scars you have to go through. Well, hell, maybe me, him, and the wine bottle for 6 months. Until one day, this tear sneaks out. A tear is a way to communicate, a cry for help. Well, I know this because I was there. A former Navy SEAL, I've been to many different countries. I've seen the world. I had everything going for me. I had 2 cars, a nice job, lived in a beautiful duplex, was engaged to be married. Well, I lost all that. And it would take too long for me to stand here and explain exactly how it happened. But the fact still remains. I was there. I've dedicated my life to helping the homeless. I had a professional once tell me, "You're not one of them, TC. You're a professional now. You're one of us." But in my mind, there was a spark, always waiting to ignite.
What's your former Navy SEAL?
That's right.
So how do you become homeless?
I quit.
You had a job and you quit?
Up to a certain point, I gave in depression.
You couldn't get a job at McDonald's?
I'm not saying it was the right thing to do, but it happened. And I'm working my way up the ladder.
You've got no right to be homeless.
That's why homeless people are crazy.
They're dirty and they smell. They're alcoholics and drunk. They have no family. They have no values. They have no family
You're
values.
wrong there.
That's diseases.
Sometimes things happen they
You
can't
can catch
handle.
them from sitting on park benches.
I'm telling you, they can't handle some of these things.
Oh, come on. These people are choosing to be homeless.
It's layers, layers of guilt.
Well, let them dig themselves out.
I don't got a shovel.
Homeless people are weird.
They're people like you and me.
Not like me.
You have to try to imagine their lives to understand.
What I want to know is, why they always want my money?
Yeah, and they always want a quarter. Why a quarter? They got to put in the meter or something?
I'll give you guys an example. There's a fellow we call Caveman. He's about 38, with light brown, stringy matted hair, and he walks with newspapers under his arms. And he has a cane in one hand. And he has this gray silk, matted up, tore up. I don't want to really call it a shirt because there's no back to it. Just a little front. The whole back is exposed. And he has baggy pants with holes in them. And he carries this like trash bag out of his pants, his pocket. And he wears old Commerce tennis shoes with no soles. And he has plastic stuff weaved in between his toes. He has a really high IQ though. He knows everything about computers. You won't believe the computer knowledge he has. He has a lot of guilt about things that happened in his life. And it would be unfair for me to stand here and explain exactly what happened to him. I know. He wants help, but he's under layers and layers of shit. He once told me,
You guys came too late. Got a quarter?
Caveman is just one of many. I can name many more.
I said, got a quarter?
Deborah, Deborah, Moo Mamra, Deborah.
Hey, don't be running away from me.
What? Lady, I'm not your granddaughter. I don't know what you want from me.
Oh, honey, I miss you.
Look, lady, I'm not your granddaughter. What do you want me to do?
Come here, Crystal. Give Grandma.
I wish I could help you, lady, but I'm not your granddaughter. I'm not...
Grandma hasn't had a hug in a long, long time.
I met this woman who thought I was her granddaughter, so I pretended to be. And I wanted to ask, Grandma, why are you homeless?
I always see them sitting on the corner with their cups. They scare me.
Got any spare change? Please, look at me when you give me money.
I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I thought he just wanted some money. I didn't think he had emotional needs, too. How did you become homeless?
One day I was working at McDonald's. A woman came up to me and ordered a small coffee.
Oh, God, here she comes.
I'm not waiting on her.
I treated her like any other customer.
Small coffee, please.
Do you have 8 cents?
8 cents.
Give it.
8 cents. Sure, I have 8 cents.
You know what? You wouldn't have a quarter, would you?
Please, it.
Quarter? God.
A quarter. Yeah, I got a quarter.
Could you make it 30 or 40 cents?
Wait a minute. How about I buy you this small coffee? Are you hungry? I wanted to take her home, but all I could do was give her a hot apple pie. I wanted to ask, why are you homeless?
Yeah. Why are you homeless?
I'll tell you why. It was either jump off a bridge or come to Pittsburgh. My name is Malagashi Yamarian Ferrer. Malagashi is the name of an island nation. Yamarian Ferrer means the children of Mary. My mother Maria was 14 when she birthed me. I come from a long line of Marys. And they had few choices. I have children and grandchildren, and I love them. But you know, when you're 40-something, and you're somebody's grandmother, it sounds so grand, so regal and wise. It makes you think about hot-baked cookies and 8 tiny arms trying to hug you all at once. And you saying yes when their mama says no. It's still about being somebody's mother, but also about being able to rest, finally having your own room and some time to yourself. But motherhood wasn't through with me. I tried to heal 7 generations of not being mothered right. 7 generations of a war on the bodies and spirit of the children of Mary. The war on Africans. When I left, my children had to grow up. They had to take care of their own children. My leaving was a cold bucket of water. Mom was gone. Now they had to be responsible for their own mistakes. They couldn't rip me to pieces, Mom. I got off the bus from Baltimore with a can opener, a knife, a fork, a spoon, and a plan. You see, I knew I'd be homeless. I was prepared to ask for help. I was prepared to sleep outside. But lucky me, I got a place to sleep on a gym floor. When you're out there walking, people often treat you like this trash here. They throw you away. When I was homeless, when I was one of the ladies who walked around all day, I was numb. Nobody saw a generic thing was a shopping bag. We didn't have a name. I didn't have a name. This made me very angry. And I would sometimes glare at these people who didn't see us. But I'll tell you how I kept from going over the edge. And I saw women go over the edge. I had a little pillow I brought from Baltimore. I had to have something familiar to rest my head on each night. I had a little notebook, and every day I wrote in it what I saw, what I felt, my plan. It took a long time to get over being one of the ladies who walked. It took a long time. But I'm trying to give myself some of the things life didn't. I'm learning how to be my own lover. I'm writing myself home, and I love it. I've been a womanist for years. Redefining feminist for me. I put my black woman self in and realized I was always there. It was that experience, it was that struggle, both joyful and painful, that was trying to be a woman, an African, Malagasy, one of the children of Mary. Like I said, I come from a long line of Marys. I was trying to give birth to choices because I remember, how could I forget, being one of the ladies who walked, one of the ladies on the ground. Miss Mary Mack, 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 all dressed in black, 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 with silver buttons, 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 all down her back, back, back. Ladies on the veranda, sitting in silence on the cold stone steps. They wait to be let in out of the cold, their bodies braced against the numbing winds of their past. They wait, with one foot in the grave of indifference, the other wedged firmly in the door. Few notice them as they ease gently past our chariot, drifting into our hearts with a womanly grace, pulling their pain behind their light, battered luggage. Miss Mary Mack, 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 all dressed in black, 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 with silver buttons, 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 all down her back, back, back. The crowd hurries past, seldom noticing their tears, running, running like rivers through the lines in their faces. Women's faces are like old maps, with streets that lead back to where they were born, back to the past, to youth, fresh and eager, laughing with best friends on the front stoop, skipping rope and playing jazz. Miss Mary Mack, 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 all dressed in black, 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 with silver buttons, 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 all down her back, back, back. These are dames with names in a world of numbers.
I have always been homeless. Even as a boy, I always felt lost and out of place in the world. I grew up in poverty, amongst a proud and vibrant people, in a desolate and hopeless environment, where there was no future beyond the present. But still, I had dreams. Dreams to become a writer. Dreams to lay my heart and soul to the world. But by that time, my life had become unbearable. You see, I married a woman I didn't love because I got her pregnant. I had a job that I hated as an account manager for a rental firm. All I did was get up and go to work. Eventually, my marriage broke down. Me and my wife separated, and she took my children away, my children. I felt empty. All I wanted to do was sleep. The only thing that woke me up was one day deciding to leave home, to leave it all behind. I bought a bus ticket to California, and when the bus stopped here in Pittsburgh, I stayed. I don't know why. I got a little room, I worked odd jobs, and then I started running out of money. It was then that I realized, even though I had left home, the pain and fear when I was growing up came with me. I've experienced a lot of loss in my life. My father left long before I was old enough to know what father meant. And my mother, I lost her too when she tried to become my father, having to raise us all alone. When I was 8 years old, my mother's best friend used to come around a lot. Her name was Georgina. She used to tell me folk tales about a talking rooster. This rooster was so proud of his feathers. He would stare at his reflection in the water well all day long. The chickens were upset because, after all, they weren't laying any eggs. He paid no attention to them. I grew up in the projects, and there was always lots of people around with too much time on their hands. So my mother was always throwing parties. But I always felt alone in the crowd.
Why the long face, Iho?
She called me Hijo. That means son in Spanish. I thought of her as my mother. She was my mother, and I loved her very much.
Turn up the music, Ileana.
Georgina loved to dance, and I loved to watch her dance. And me, I was only 8 years old, but I thought I was real cool.
Help y'all, Puerto Rico!
I'll leave alone, girl. He's just playing.
She was something. Always laughing and joking. She was the life of the party.
Georgina, tell me about the macho rooster.
After this dance, Iho.
I love to dance with her. She'd pull me around and around and around. Fernando was her ex-husband, a proud fool who didn't know how to love his wife. He wanted her back, but she didn't want anything to do with him.
Georgina, I know you're in there.
When my mother saw who it was, she got very angry.
Stay the hell away from my house!
I want to speak to Georgina.
She doesn't want to speak to you.
I want you with me.
She doesn't love you.
You're my wife. You belong to me.
No, don't go with him.
No, it's okay.
No, wait. Please, Georgina, don't go. Tell me about the rooster.
Gallo the rooster, so proud of his feathers, he had no time to love his chickens. He stared himself all day long in the water well.
Later, Iho.
Later, I heard them quietly arguing. And then it was 3. I wanted to scream.
You killed her! You killed her!
Here's the confusion. I understood his desperation.
I'm only 8 years old. I don't understand anything.
You know what happened to Gallo the rooster? He was too proud and too vain to love his chickens. After they stripped him of his feathers, he saw himself by the tree. And then the chickens, they still loved him, and eventually he learned to love them back.
Fernando the rooster was too proud. A man with too much pride can't love. Neither can a man with too much pain. By running away from home, I thought I had stripped myself of everything. But I couldn't leave behind the pain. Now, with nothing but myself, I'm starting all over. I can't bring Georgina back or all the others I've lost. But hopefully, I will learn to stop pushing people away.
I came from the back room. We love to show through material things, but something was missing. Women weren't allowed to have their own ideas or their dreams. You either did what Mom did or was labeled as weird. I saw my mother and sister settle for small town life, and I didn't like what I saw. So I came here with $35 in one suitcase 4 years ago, determined to find the woman struggling to come out of me. I found a job in sales and an apartment right away. Everything was perfect until one day I collapsed at work and was hospitalized for an illness no one could diagnose. My rent went up, 200,000 cockroaches moved in. Anyway, I took everything I could carry one night and sneaked out the back door at 2 a.m. The Salvation Army was full, but they sent me to a women's shelter in Bethlehem Haven, where I'd spend the next 5 months feeling like a failure. I was sick during that long winter, with depression, fainting spells, panic attacks, soup kitchen poisoning from their food, and eventually a near-fatal bout of bacterial pneumonia. I lost pride, but somehow held on to my dignity. I never begged for anything, and would have cut my wrists before I panhandled. I lived on intuition and intelligence, putting my old address on work application with an ex-boyfriend's telephone number so I wouldn't be found out. I trusted no one and never looked anyone in the eye. I was glad my family was 30 miles away at this point. My father died never knowing I was homeless. Had my family known, they would have had nothing to do with me because nice girls don't live on the streets. But my own experience opened my eyes. No one is immune, despite of what you think. You could lose it all tomorrow. But homelessness did change me. I found the person I came to look for 4 years ago. Once described as too backward and shy to be on her own, she's now strong, sensitive, and braced for the next disaster. She did it the hard way, but she succeeded, discovering herself through theater, modeling, and music. She's within me the whole time.
But why couldn't you go home to your family? That's what families are for.
You don't understand, it was an abusive situation.
I just don't think I could have survived what you have.
When the time comes to make a change, despite the risk, you do it.
Every change I face feels like a tug of war with me in the middle. I get so paralyzed by thoughts of what might happen if I make the wrong choice.
You'd be surprised what you're capable of when you don't have a choice.
I must seem pretty naive to you.
No, just innocent.
I remember a time when there was a distinctive middle class in this country. I remember being a child of that middle class. In particular, I remember during one hot summer night, I walked into my grandmother's house, into the living room, and I turned on the volume to the TV, very loud. And then I walked out into her back porch, and I stood, and I looked at the moon, and I listened in awe as I heard the voices of Houston speaking to the eagle as she rested on the dry desert of the Sea of Tranquility. I've never quite lost that moment. It was my dream to be a part of that golden generation of humanity that was to colonize the stars. A dream that was broken and dismantled, as the space program was. Our golden generation was abandoned by the steel industry and embraced by the dope industry. Guided and betrayed by dark forces beyond our comprehension or understanding. Remember, the true wealth of a nation is measured in its productive labor. And labor is produced by people. Therefore, people are the true wealth of a nation. Remember this. Remember these lost generations. And remember me. Not in the shame of homelessness, but as a founder and discoverer of worlds, walking amidst the stars.
It was summertime, so I was real tan. I had just showered at the YMCA. Nobody knew when I walked into this ritzy pub with only $20 in my pocket that I was homeless. I walked in, ordered a draft beer. I noticed this very tall, attractive, corporate-like attorney staring at me. She sat down and started talking to me.
Hi, you look pretty tan. Where are you coming from?
From outside.
Mind if I sit here?
Go right ahead.
So, what's your name?
My name's TC.
Hi, I'm Catherine. Nice to meet you. You really do look like a surfer.
I spend a lot of time outside.
Really? Well, what kind of work do you do?
I'm doing some classified work right now.
Sounds interesting. Mind if I buy you a drink?
I think I can handle that.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to offend you.
You didn't.
I find you very interesting, but it seems like you're not interested.
Now, hold on. It's not that. I had a hard day. I mean, what could I tell her? That I was living in my car, I just showered at the YMCA, I have no job, you want to go steady?
I have an idea. Give me your number. I'll call you. We'll do lunch.
Oh, jeez. That's hard. I have a better idea. Let me get your number. I'll call you.
Okay, sounds good. I hope you don't see me very aggressive or anything, you know, because I have to be honest. I really am interested in getting to know you better.
Here I was in this ritzy pub with all these corporate types. And I was no different than any of them. I had dignity. When I walked in there, I had the eye of the tiger for a moment. Thank you. I gotta go.
Okay, see you.
But I want to thank you for treating me like a human being.
That happened to me.
You get so used to people not looking at you, you're shocked when they do.
People don't look at homeless people so much as to look through them.
Or they do look at you, and they laugh behind their hands.
You're homeless?
No, not anymore. I am a resident of Wood Street Commons.
But how old are you?
I'm 19.
What happened to you?
It's hard for me to talk about. I have trouble talking in groups.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
But I want to. I can't keep it inside anymore.
It's all right.
My father was strict. Only his views were right. Sometimes it hurt when my family compared me and my sisters. And I had to hide my feelings to protect them. 2 years ago, I started school in Pittsburgh. I was living with family, and I finally got an apartment of my own. Then I was hospitalized for depression. I had to drop out of school, and when I went back home, everyone was disappointed in me. And they'd ask, how can you be so stupid? Well, I made the decision to come back to school. I was living with family again. They were smothering me. They suspected everything I did. So I got into the shelter program at Wood Street. And now I'm a resident there. I'm still going to school, but it's really hard to be alone. There's not very many people I can get close to. So I started volunteering for Children's Arts Festival.
You're doing the right thing. You should be proud of yourself.
But I'm not. I can only see the bad things. Right now I can't see the good things in me.
You're taking a risk and doing something in spite of what I can see is a lot of pain. You should be kind to yourself, Stella.
Yeah, and just make it on your own. That takes a lot. I don't know what I'd do without my family. I also don't know what I would do without the support from my family and peers.
I'm so protected by my family and my community, I can't even imagine becoming homeless.
I can see myself becoming homeless if I just lost all hope. There are so many problems in this world today that you get caught up in. What if I just gave up?
What if I got out of college and couldn't find a job? I want to join the Peace Corps and help people, but you need money for all this stuff.
What if something really devastating happens? It scares me to see what people go through.
Suddenly, there's a human face behind what I've seen on TV.
As a child, I lived in migrant labor camps and slept on dirt floors. All my life, I lived in poverty. But I look at people, not the dirt on their clothes. I have compassion for people. I have compassion. And that's the beginning of being human.
If allowed, my mind
Can be free from any bondage.
A man.
With a dream.
defiantly.
A boy.
Afraid of dying.
Violently.
A girl.
A woman.
A young black woman.
Trying to make it
In America.
A person.
Walking.
To our destination.
My humanness endures.
If allowed,
My mind
can be free from any bondage.
A man.
With a dream.
defiantly.
A boy.
Afraid of dying.
Violently.
A girl.
A woman.
A young black woman.
Trying to make it
In America.
A person.
Walking.
To our destination.
Our humanness endures. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
down to, the monologues were written by themselves, each person wrote their own monologue. The reactions of all the Shenley kids were their own words, their own reactions. Tammy just put it together in script. Do you want to say anything about that? No. Okay. This project was really hard, harder than any of the other ones that I've been involved in. The first month we did nothing but share stories and get to know one another, and that was wonderful and loving. And then all of a sudden we handed them scripts, and a lot of anger came out, and a lot of frustration. It's okay. And so because of the material, it wasn't an easy play to work on, maybe not an easy play to watch. My dream was to give a voice to the people that are voiceless out there. I'm going to use this time now for all of you. You can ask questions of anybody in the cast. They're ready and willing to speak. Yes.
I have two questions for the cast. Wonderful job. We live in a country that's built on the individual, and it's unique in many ways, the idea of the individual succeeding. Some other countries think that's outrageous. It's an unusual system, but it's still what brought the character that mentioned the homeless person still having emotional needs. I think we're still very hard in this country on people who, for very real social and economic reasons, can't make it. We still condemn the individual without realizing that they're up against difficult forces. I'm wondering if you can think of some ways to provide, first of all, communicate to people some of the reality of these forces and to help homeless people with some of their emotional needs. Yeah, that's the question.
Anybody respond to that, Malagashi?
Well, I would say that when someone asks you for money on the streets, look at them, and if you can do it, and try to do it with kindness and compassion. It's very hard to ask people for money. That's all we do.
Anybody else here respond to that at all?
However, if you don't give money, you're not obligated to. Just please treat them like a human being.
Dan?
Yeah. Homelessness, living in poverty. There's a kind of like an inner difficulty. I mean, it's kind of I don't know. It's not a good word. Social degeneration that happens. You know, people just can't think beyond the present. They can't think beyond into the future. They have no future. And that's not just homeless people, but that's people that live in the projects, they live in the ghettos. They grow up in an environment where they can't think beyond now, and they don't think there is a future. I think people should understand.
Anybody else have a question in the audience? Ray, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I had thought of this during the play, during my monologue, and kind of worked it over, and I figured if it did come up with a question after that, would be on my opportunity. And it's just my personal belief that, in my monologue I state too, just a lot of things fell through. It employed a lot of people, kept a lot of people active, like the space program. And people say, oh, well, we put so much money into the space program, I mean, what did we get out of it? Well, we have a PC industry. Every PC on your desk, we're still benefiting from the Apollo program. I mean, just things like that, they're just not there. And there's no, and it's getting less and less. I mean, they're laying off people more and more. You can see a lot more homeless. So it's basically get some kind of industries going, invest in industry, get people working again, creating things. Because everybody here is very creative. I've met too many homeless people who aren't creative. They're just not in a situation where they can be.
Anybody else have a question? That's it.
In America, where most people are thought to be what they do, and if you don't do what are, where does that leave the homeless?
Did you say the last sentence again?
Where does that leave the homeless?
Where does that leave the homeless person? Right. That in a in a country, yes, right here?
I thought there's a group of people that exist today that left out somewhat, and those are the people that are labeled pathologically antisocial people, the people that live in the alley and really don't go to shelters, or not because they don't want to go through the hassle of the bureaucratic system, filling out the paperwork and stuff like that. They are in worse situation than people that are in the shelters. What about them?
Somebody want to respond to it?
I do.
The voice of the young wants to respond to that. Malagashi?
I think that there's some people who are able to get through that system and they eventually will find a home. Most people do find a home, but there's a segment that have so many emotional problems or other types of problems that aren't being dealt with. They're the ones who really need the most help, and they're given the least help. It's very hard to deal with the system when you're going through all sorts of, and many people are mentally disturbed through no fault of their own. And it didn't make them homeless, but what happens is, once they're homeless, it aggravates it because no one knows what to do with it. They're the ones who need help. And I would say that looking at the president's health care plan, it's going to completely wipe out any kind of help for mental illness. And that is very bad. It's going to be a disaster.
Any other questions? He works with Operation Saberlight, which works with people in the street. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, this is a program, it's a volunteer program. It's probably been developed now for 3 years, and it's consisting of formerly homeless men and women in the Pittsburgh area. And we go out, we cover all areas, downtown, south side, north side, Oakland, and we, like I said, we give out blankets and personal hygiene packets. And any that are interested in coming out and, see some of the sites that we call, there's a place in the Strip District called Shack City. They have shacks on the riverside there that I'd say about 10 people live in. There will be a box sitting by the door out here if you want to give it.
Where is it going to be? Is it a basket? Mark? Where will
It'll be on the way out.
On the way out. Someone, go ahead.
If you want to contribute, that's fine. If not, I'd still like you to come out with us. If you just want to bring yourself out, that would be fine.
Right.
Yes.
I'd like to know, in respect to going out to the people who are on the street that don't get into shelters, how do they respond to help?
Say again?
How do they respond to help people out on the streets?
Like I say, it takes a long time to earn their trust out there. I mean, like I said, it may be me, him, the wine bottle for 6 months. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. They begin believing in you and trusting you because they keep seeing you out there. Then they start to slowly open up. I've seen people go from the street into an apartment, into a job. It does happen.
I'd like to just say something that how we started our sessions was we brought Rosemary Perla in who helped them find the voice within, which they wrote poetry. And when we did that first round of poems, you actually hear some of them in the beginning part of the play and at the end of the play. But Ray had just, would you want to talk about it? You had just been to the museum that day.
Hey, I'd seen I was studying the Renaissance. I've really been researching this whole thing and my situation, and I was going through different periods of history and figured those who don't learn from it repeat it. So maybe I'm repeating something here. And I went to the, we all know what that's like. So I went to the museum and I was looking through the Renaissance and I came across Leonardo da Vinci. And there's this picture of the man, I'm sure you've all seen the man inside of the circle, found square. And it really struck me. And I went to read what he meant with that, because I was trying to comprehend it. It should have been so simple, and that is the whole Renaissance concept that you go, that this whole thing of going from a point to a straight line and then to a square and then to a circle is, they kind of disproved that, but we're still being taught that. The whole concept was that a square, no matter how many sides you add onto it, it's still a square. It'll never be a circle. And I thought, well, then what happens then? And Leonardo said, well, you start with the circle. There's always something pre-existing. If you fold the circle in half, you get this straight line through the center of it, and if you fold it again this way, you see in the middle the dot. So the thing was, they got it all backwards. And in the very center, of course, is the man. And what he meant by this is that a square can never be a circle. So where's the change? Well, it's man and woman. Man being the whole human race is at the center of change. And therefore, man can change his circumstance any time. And I really got me thinking about, especially about the helplessness. I hear about this helplessness of the homeless. And I think maybe it's not, that's kind of wrong attitude to look at it, because then it's kind of like this giving things and then just forgetting, and it's just not it. It's just that these people can change their circumstance too, given the tools, and we really can. Man is at the center of all change in this universe.
And what Tammy did with it is if you notice, that was his first line in the play, and Tammy took the whole theme around that, which is how we got Will the Circle Be Unbroken. And it's interesting because here we're a square bounded by a circle, and this show was really supposed to be done in conjunction with Caretaker, which was about a homeless man. But the more Tammy and I looked at from the Mississippi Delta, by the way, which has 2 more weeks to run, it's wonderful. I recommend you see it. The more we looked at it, it had so much more to do with the play we were doing. It's about hopelessness, about trying to find your way out.
And well, I actually wrote the play before I saw Mississippi Delta, and I was struck by the set, for one thing, and the idea of the circle and of autobiography and of telling about your life, and sort of sharing, sort of an oral tradition, sharing with people the stories of your life, and that being an affirming thing, you know, and a building up to it. And it's been very difficult working with this, but I think through all the struggle, there's hope, really, because these people are very strong. These are survivors. The people you see here have survived, you know, terrible things that, you know, we people don't come this far. So I have great hope for them.
Ronnie, the thought that occurs to me is, if you have the desire to do something, just as this young man explained his interpretation of whatever he saw, then why isn't that enough incentive for you to look for an answer, a way to meet your needs?
Okay, so you're asking the same question all of the teenagers asked. Why are you homeless? That's really what you're asking. And what they did with their stories is try to answer it. They tried to tell you that there were circumstances very often beyond their control. And anybody want to add anything to what I said? Della, Lori?
Actually, as what I said before, no one is immune to homelessness. You could lose it all tomorrow. Your apartment could catch fire, your company could go bankrupt.
Successful context.
I think that a lot of things happen. Not only did like stories get told, but like a lot of things got uncovered in terms of what's inside everyone, not just the people from West Street, not just the people from Shanley, but in terms of as a group, we helped each other to heal stuff that was inside of us that maybe we wouldn't have found on our own. So that's basically what I got from it. Aside from the fact that getting to know a lot of people that will have a big influence on my life.
During the session, I found out that I tended to hold things in because I don't really come out with everybody if I don't know anybody. And even with some people I know, I don't come straight out with it. So during the course of the meetings throughout the week, I started to get more stronger and more stronger. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but I felt it inside of me. And I guess the strength that I built up from keeping every feeling and thought inside, I tried to put into the play. It may have not been a lot, but it was from my heart. So that's what I tried to do. Thank you, sir.
You know what, this play, it put things in perspective for a lot of us. I know I came into this play with like a lot of preconceived notions about homelessness that were just shattered from the door. And also, I've like discovered that over this course of time, right, this was truly a labor of love for us. It was just like raising a child, you know, labor, pain. And then you saw growing adolescence and even more problems. And so finally, I had this creation, right? You had this thing, a true beauty, that you wanted to share with the rest of the world. And doing Dan's story, right, I remember coming to this man, and I was asking him, I was like, well, how do you want me to portray you? Because I just wanted to show basically his story. It's just, things just touched me so much. I remember how we did the poetry. And when we were doing the poetry, it like brought a lot of things with me, a lot of anger and hatred for this country in particular. And it just made me connect more with this whole idea of homelessness and how easy it could just touch all of our lives.
Back there.
What percentage of people on the street ask for money and really don't need it or are abusing the system? Is there a percentage of people that...
In any, you go to any company and find how many people are doing this or that.
No, but that might be a preconceived notion that a lot of people feel when someone's asking them for money. They probably think, oh, well, you might have a fortune, you know, and maybe this is your way of making a living. Is this true, or is this what the American public...
I think that's when you take the chance to look at the person and maybe even talk to them for a little bit. And usually that right there can tell you.
But also, I want to say that most people, homeless people don't panhandle. And most people that you see that are homeless, you wouldn't know them. The people that you see are really a minority. If they're really dirty, or, you know, you have to realize that you have a majority of mentally disturbed. And that's why it's so hard for like TC to go and to get them into shelters, because they have probably afraid. And if you stay out there long enough, you will lose touch with your community. We all grew up in houses and in communities, and when you are outside like that, you start to lose touch with it. But most people don't panhandle. And the other thing is that that's your judgment. You know, when you give somebody money, you don't worry about what they do with it afterwards. I think people say that to themselves, but the point is that unless you absolutely know that person's going to buy a bottle of wine, then give them the money. There's a lot of people say, well, give it to organizations. Well, I'm going to sit here right now and diss some organizations, okay? Some of those organizations do not really do their job. And you can give them all the money you want, but it does not get to the people that TC works with. See, that's what I believe, and that's what I've seen. So it's your choice. You know, it's not much money. If you really feel that they shouldn't have it, don't give it to them. But, you know, once you give somebody money, it's theirs.
If you ever want to experience something that you'll never forget, if you go out with Operation Save a Life, I only went out twice, and it changes your life forever. If you see a couple, a man and a woman who are married, they sleep on grates, and straight across the street is two cane closets, and people open and close their fine doors and go and have dinner. And these people over here are wondering how to keep the water in the jar cold in the summer. Okay, you're not freezing in the winter, just in a jar. Here's the Duquesne Club. Here's people cleaning up and sleeping on grates, and they can look right at each other. And one time we went in there, and there was a man totally unconscious. I don't know if he was an alcoholic or what, but he was laying on the cement. He was freezing cold. I came down and I asked the police to come up. They said, we're sick and tired of all of those people. They wouldn't have come up and check them out. I had to go through people and go back and get someone else. But the most heart-rending thing I have ever felt was a young man who said that his father needed so badly that he went on the street rather than stay at home. We asked him what he needed. Did you need money or anything? He said, no. Would you please just let me walk around with you because I really just need people.
A thought that I would like to leave in the mind of each and every person in this place today. It's like the lady right here asked a question about why would a homeless person live like this, or maybe imply more or less as if this was a choice. Well, first of all, when you're homeless and just to be gainfully employed, to become gainfully employed, when you're homeless, you have to prepare yourself physically. You have to have the clothing. You have to aesthetically, you have to look presentable for your interviews and things of this nature. You have to have transportation. Now, if you don't have these things, you know, you might as well just forget it. And then some of the places where you go for employment, it's already set up where they just worry about, like for instance, the unemployment office. They just set up where all they're worried about is the numbers of where they send people, you know, to statistically to justify their job. So what happens is these people go out here, spend up the little money that they have hustled up, went through all the trouble of getting themselves physically prepared as well as aesthetically prepared for these interviews. And what happens is it's a whole sham because these people really aren't really concerned about giving them a job or anything. So you end up spending up the little money that you hustled up, getting yourself prepared and everything, and time over again, just to be led into failure. You know, and after a while, that person starts feeling, well, maybe me, but them not knowing in reality what's happening, that the system was set up like that in the first place. It's set up for them to fail because really, every agency, you have to, there's nothing for nothing in this world. And most of these agencies, they get something for doing a favor, even, you know, getting you set up for a job. I've known people that have gone to Cumberland, different places in the state for a job, and that job really didn't exist. They end up spending their money, going to this interview, waiting around, and nothing happens. But you have to be prepared, and how do you get prepared?
Thank you. I wanted to add to, you were saying something, what's your name? Yes, your name? Dan. Dan was saying something about all these walls that the homeless person builds. Well, society is building walls as well. It isn't simply the homeless person that lacks initiative. Society has put all these barriers in front of the homeless person. We live in a competitive society. So as long as someone out there in the street, well, then I'm doing better than that person, so I can feel good about myself. And I think that really means we all in the audience need to take into consideration, you know, what does it do to us to look at a homeless person? Does it set us apart? You know, does it make us feel better about ourselves? And in a society where we live, the survival of the fittest has been preached for so long, we can walk along thinking that, you know, oh, well, we're doing better than that person, rather than sharing what we have with that person.
Thank you. I think I'm going to, yes. Can I just say something? Back to the first question that she raised a long time ago when she was talking about success and about individual success. Individual success is not really success, you know, because you are not actually successful unless the people around you are also successful. I'm Ray.
On that point, you were saying about it's just, yes, I found this out, that we're not seeing the square and the circle, they're not machines. We can break down too. But the thing is, put information in people, like a classical education. We should get back to that, in my opinion, because every child should walk around with a Leonardo da Vinci in their head, and a Kepler, and whoever else these great things. And then, how many do you know about that, Leonardo's explanation of that?
I'm gonna end now. I'm sorry. Those of you that have burning things to say, we're gonna have a reception downstairs, so you can say it to whomever you like. But I would just like, since it's their night, and I'd just like them each to be able to give a sentence about what all this has felt like for them. So we're gonna end with that. For me, it's been, I feel very proud. So why don't you start, Della?
Okay. Well, it started out as something to occupy time. And after a while, I got close to a lot of people here. And it's been a really great experience. I want to thank all the friends that did come. And I want to thank my parents for all the support that they have been giving me and for coming all the way to this meeting. I love you.
Love you too.
By the way, none of the scenes were by accident. The reason that Ryan was in the scene hugging Della, because that's what happened when Della was telling her story. Ryan always came right over to her. So the play that you saw is very much like a lot of our sessions. Good. Nicole, do you want to say something?
Yeah, well, I think that this play taught me a lot about myself and about, homeless people, Before I came into this, it was just like, you see what's on the news, and that's all you see. You see the people downtown, and you just sort of turn your nose up at them. But it's like, with this, like the whole title of the play, A Human Face, you see that there's individual people with all their individual stories, and that's what you have to take into consideration.
Which is what she said during one of the sessions, which gave the play its name. Ryan?
I just wanted to tell the cast members that I love y'all all. I don't think that y'all really realize that we did come together because at first we were like, it was the Wood Street comic people, then it was the Shinley people. And that's how it was. The kids, And so now we're all so great, and I'm going to miss them very much.
Well, I came into this project kind of late. I had lost my job about 2 weeks before, and I needed something to do before I pulled all my hair out of my head. So I decided to come in on this and tell my story because I don't know if most of you know me by name, quote unquote. Probably think, yeah, she wouldn't get involved in anything like that. She's too good. And I think one thing I like about this play is these young people are the best people I have ever worked with in my life. And they are
Jayla looks at me like, don't make me talk.
I don't like talking in front of lots of people like normally. I mean, it's different when you're on stage doing lines and stuff. But I don't know, it's been a very emotional experience, and I don't know, there's something that's happened through this whole process that you can't explain in words. It's just like, if you were there, like, just the feeling between everybody. If I saw any of these people on the street, like, after this, I just want to give them a hug, because, I mean, like, I don't know, there's a special bonding that we've made, and I think it's really important that we've done that. Taken, like, high school students who probably, I mean, most high school students are involved in, like, themselves, like, that's what you think about, you're walking down the street with your friends, you're talking about whatever, you're not even paying attention to anybody around you, and this has opened, like, our eyes, and made us see things that we probably wouldn't have seen before.
Ray, your last chance.
Like I said, I was already on that bent with that circle square thing, and I thought, well, this would be a time to transcend these so-called walls. And found out once you get above, you see how just transparent they are. And I was thinking if I kept with this, not initially, but then later, that I saw potential maybe to take this to a higher level for people too. I got a lot out of it. These people were really great.
Thanks, Ray.
People here too. From TCP, James Hunter, and also from Wood Street.
Well, I'd like to say that this was harder than having a baby. It was very, very intense, but I think it worked, and I'm glad that I did
Choreographer?
When I got the phone call from Tammy telling me a little bit about this project, I was like, what are you, nuts? These people never move, they're homeless, and then kids, and I don't deal with children. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll do this, and we'll see what happens. And I was going through a period of time where I was thinking actually about not dancing anymore, retiring from the field, and focusing in on something else. But I came in and started working with these people, and they gave me my vision back as an artist. And just the power, I mean, I think you guys have just gotten just a little bit of what Ronnie, myself, Kate, Carl, Tammy have gotten. It's really been a pleasure working with these people. And just the strength and the pride that all of them have in what they're doing is tremendous, and I just want to thank them.
Speak up, Dan. Did you hear that at all during rehearsal?
I just want to say I had a great time. I've learned a lot about myself. The only way you can learn about yourself is by interacting with other people. You don't find yourself unless you can talk about yourself. And I learned a little bit about myself, and I've learned a lot about everyone else. I always felt like a square peg that these guys squeezed me into it. Round there.
It was a very painful process, trying, because I wanted to stay true to your voices. I wanted to see your voices. I didn't want to make anything up. And after I wrote the script, I felt a great release. And I, still working on it. I came across this quote by Joseph Campbell about compassion, and that compassion means calm, which means shared passion, suffering. So compassion actually means to share suffering with other people. And I felt that that's what we all did during the project. And I hope that you did too, because I think that's really important that we don't cut ourselves off from that. It's really easy to get desensitized. And we have to continually open ourselves up to share suffering with each other.
She doesn't want to talk.
I don't know, it was a very emotional, like when we came in here as the kids, we were like, what are we going to say to people? Because I know I didn't want to say anything offensive, like, how's the weather? Because, well, we live in it. I didn't want to, I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to, but we all talked and we just bonded like that.
That was great. I'm not picking on you now. TC.
Just want to say that there is a bridge between the image and the real story. I just feel that society should fill that gap. And I just want to say, united we stand.
United we fall. Last chance to give your feelings that you're learning to give.
First, I want to give honor and praise to God for just letting me be here with other people. And it's not the first time that I've been in a play. I went to school for acting, but in this play, I actually dug down in my soul to get my true, real feelings out. Even though other people may not think, like I said earlier, that what I've given out is but so little, but I feel that it's a lot because it's a learning experience for me. So again, I want to thank God for changing my mind. Hopefully He'll keep me on that road and we can all keep in touch again.
I'm glad that I got a chance to work with Artie
don't know, like even if it's a baby or somebody you just met, it takes a while to get to know that person. Sometimes we're close to that person, sometimes there's problems in the family. And we went through our problems, but we all stuck together. And all of them are in my heart, and I love everybody who's sitting on this stage right now.
Well, first I want to say this has been a truly wonderful experience that has changed my life. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to work with all these people on the stage. I want to say that I remember one day I was waiting for the bus, and the title of this play, A Human Face, finally sunk in. Because I remember I was standing there waiting for this bus, and this one brother walked up to me. Man, I don't know what was wrong. He smelled a little bit of liquor, was kind of tipsy. And instead of just telling him, get the hell away from me, I decided to listen to this man. And I looked into his eyes, and what I saw a reflection of me. And it scared me, because I realized that if I ever gave up hope, that could be me. And that is why I thank God every day that I got people like my mother, my brother, my boy Dave, and people like these people. Because if any of these people ever saw me slipping, they would knock me back on track and tell me what to
Okay.
Quit? We quit.